I had somebody ask a question on a video that I posted recently about bulking. And I started typing out an answer, and I realized that typing out the answer, it was just going to be really, really long. And I figured it'd be easier and maybe even better for everybody, because maybe somebody else has the same question, is if I just go ahead and make a video about it. Okay, so I'm just going to through this little, obviously, I made a PowerPoint, right? So I threw a PowerPoint presentation together, and we're going to answer this question, or I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to talk it through. And here's what the question was. Gentleman asked, should I worry about fat gain on a bulk if I gain fat easily? Okay, and that's a pretty valid question. I think that's probably something that a lot of people are concerned about. If they go on a bulk, they don't want to get too fat. Okay, so we're going to cover a few things. But first off, I just want to kind of pump the brakes and back up just a tad, and so we can kind of contextualize this. So first off, should we bulk at all? Are we at the point where bulking is a good idea? And I think really the easiest way to answer the question, the quickest and easiest way to answer the question is should I bulk or should I not bulk, is right here. Do you have visible abs? Okay, so if you have visible abs and you want to get bigger, then I would say yes, bulk. If you do not have visible abs, I would say it might make sense to do a cut first. Probably just want to get a little bit leaner, and doing that's going to do a few things. Okay, it's going to teach you about dieting. I think you're going to learn more about training because you're going to have to try harder on a cut to get a real good connection with your muscles. And I think that once you do that part, once you do the cutting part, you're going to realize how easy it is to actually lose the fat. So it's going to kind of help ease your mind a little bit, because you're going to say, any fat I do gain, I cut it off last time and it was like, boom, it was like that. So now I'm really good at it. So once you get good at cutting, then bulking is not as scary, getting the fat and everything. Plus getting a little bit leaner and just kind of getting shredded. Not only are you going to probably look a little bit better, at least with your clothes off, or at least with your shirt off, but should reset your metabolism, and you'll probably feel better. Probably have your blood pressure is going to be a little bit improved. So there's going to be a lot of internal and external things that you might benefit from by just kind of pumping the brakes and doing a little cut first, getting a little lean, and then we'll readdress the bulking situation. Okay, so back to the question. Should I worry about fat gain if I gain fat easily? Now, I'm not going to do everybody is exactly the same and it's just calories in, calories out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to address this question on its face value. I'm going to assume that that's true. I'm going to assume that your lived experience is you just feel like you do put on fat easier than everyone else. Maybe that's true. I don't know. So I'm going to try to answer that the best I can. Okay, so should I worry about fat? Let's talk about your goals. What do you want? Do you want to gain more muscle and gain more size? Is getting bigger something that you want to do? Or do you just want to look better? You just want to feel better? So it kind of depends on what you want. Thing is, if you are somebody who just puts on fat easier, the answer may be that you're just going to have to try harder, a little bit harder than everyone else. You're just going to have to be a little bit more dialed, a little bit more methodical in your approach, and just kind of be a little bit more exact with everything. So let's take a look at your current/past dieting habits. Are you somebody who potentially consumes a lot of high-fat foods, right? You eat a lot of high-fat stuff, a lot of fast food, a lot of things like peanut butter, a lot of butter, oils, things like that, things that are really calorie dense and really just going to convert to fat a lot easier. So maybe those are some things that for cutting and bulking, maybe we should just take those things out of the diet. Okay. Another big one is that full sugar soda, like regular soda. Not a lot of people drink that anymore, but there's a lot of people that still do. And I think that's a pretty big one. Like I said, I'm in the middle of the camp of, there's like the calories in, calories out crowd, and all calories are the same. And then there's like the other crowd that's like, no, that's like, doesn't matter at all. And so I'm somewhere in the middle. So I think tracking your calories in and calories out is important. But for example, I think there is a big difference between the sugar that you get from fruit and the sugar that, like high fructose corn syrup that's going to be in a soda. So I would, take a look at, do you have a high fat diet? If you don't have a high fat diet, the things that you are you eating a lot of processed foods? Are you eating a lot of, like high processed sugars, things like that? Maybe there's some things that we can just kind of take out of your diet and replace with some other things. Do you drink a lot of milk? I know when I was bulking, my last bulk, not this bulk, but my last bulk, I did so much milk. And it was great for adding weight. It definitely worked. And it was just kind of like easy calories. But I felt like crap, and my skin was destroyed, and I just, I added more fat than I probably should have or could have during that. So maybe there's some things in your diet that you can kind of change and fix. So potential solutions there. Let's analyze your diet, pull some things out, and but overall, you may just have to be a little bit more dialed in than everyone else, and that's fine. Everyone has their cross to bear, and that might be yours. Okay, so kind of building on that, should I worry about fat gain if I gain fat easily? Yes, to some degree, yes. You should worry about gaining too much fat, obviously, because you don't want the visuals of it, and you don't want the negative health effects from it. So the point of the bulk is we want to maximize muscle creation or muscle repair, from the calorie surplus, and also minimize fat conversion. It's kind of the whole goal of the bulk. So yes, we do want to worry about fat gain a little bit because we don't want to add too much fat while we're bulking, but also there's a certain degree of no. We have to be willing to accept. I mean, you don't have to, but I think that the fat conversion and gaining that a little bit of fat is kind of a proof or an insurance policy that you are actually indeed in a calorie surplus and not just kind of right at or near maintenance. And so how can we minimize that and keep that dialed? And we're going to do that by tracking weight daily, or at least every couple days, every other day, and looking at your weight trend over time and kind of judge it over a 2 to 3 week period. And the thing is, the less tracking you do, the more inconsistent your results will be. So if you're not tracking your diet every day, you might have a really high calorie day, and then the next day is a really low calorie day. And then, what's your weekly total like? Are you way over for the week? If your weight is, if you're gaining 8 pounds a month, but you're not tracking your calories, you're just kind of winging it, you don't really know where you need to pull out. So calorie wise, you don't know which calories you need to pull out. So the thing is, the more tracking you do on your diet and everything like that is going to be more beneficial for you. Kind of on the weight thing, like if you're doing a bulk and over 3 weeks or let's just say over a month, if you've gained 10 pounds in a month, that's definitely not all muscle. There's probably some fat in there, and maybe that is a good signal that we should dial back the calories just a little bit. Okay, so maybe need to turn down the jam just a touch. Here's a good example of why tracking is going to be really important for you. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide here, which is this is very basic macronutrients 101. Okay, so you can get pretty far in your dieting journey with just this little slide right here. You can even screenshot that and keep it in your phone just to have the information. All right, so we have proteins, fats, and carbs. I'm sure you've heard of those, right? So fats have 9 calories per gram. This is why I was talking about earlier. If you have kind of a lot of fat in your diet, maybe that's one reason why you feel like you're putting on a lot more fat than everyone else, is because, per gram, we have twice the calorie count in 1 gram of fat versus 1 gram of protein. So not only that, if you kind of go through and look at what each macronutrient is going to do in your body, your proteins are going to be used for building and repairing muscle. And they can be used for energy, but it's not your body's first choice to use as energy because it's not very efficient. And excess protein can be converted into fat, but that process is also not very efficient. Then when you look at fats obviously are already fats, right? So body converts them into fatty acids, and they can be used as a long-term energy source, to use as low intensity exercise energy reserves, but your body easily transfers them and stores them as excess body fat because, like I said, it's already a fat. And then when you look at carbohydrates, those are going to break down into glucose in your body. Those are your body's preferred energy source, and any excess glucose that's not used is going to be transferred into your muscle and stored as muscle glycogen. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand how each of those macronutrients work, because again, I'm not in the camp of it's just calories in, calories out, and I'm also not in the camp of the other side, which is calories in, calories out doesn't matter. I think there's also a component here that it's going to kind of I think it's going to depend on what you eat, like how much fat conversion are you going to get if you eat, let's just say hypothetically, 4,000 calories of only protein versus if you eat 4,000 calories of only fat. Common sense kind of tells me I feel like you'd get a little bit more body fat conversion eating 4,000 calories of only fats. That's my opinion. You can try to prove me wrong, but I'm not going to change my mind. So again, that's why tracking is so important. So here's my challenge to you, right? I'm not selling you anything here. Okay, this is all free stuff. You can download MyFitnessPal. It's free, and you can track your calories in there. Just track one day. Just track it for one day. Tell me how it goes. Now, if you do have to buy the premium version of this thing if you want it broken down by macro. I think this is how it works. You have to buy the premium version to get the macro breakdown, but you can at least track your daily total calorie count by using this. So you can throw something in there that you ate and say, oh wow, that added 500 calories for that. Like, I can't believe that one piece of cheesecake was only 500 calories. And so basically the TLDR, the too long didn't read version of this, the overall summation of kind of what I wanted to say here was, for a bulk to be successful, I think you have to be okay with gaining some amount of fat, okay? And the more dialed in your macro count is, and the more dialed in your calorie count is, the less fat conversion you're going to have. So like when I dirty bulked, I gained a lot of fat and I got really fat, and honestly, it felt great because I felt strong. I felt super strong, and I was able to recover from just about everything. And now my weight gain on this bulk is a lot slower. I'm very, very dialed in on this bulk right now. Boys, we're locked in, okay? Doing 260 grams of protein a day, 3,500 calories a day right now. I'm at 195 this morning, and right now we're on a trajectory of 2 pounds per month has been the last month and a half / 2 months of trend. We're looking at 2 pounds a month. So that's the difference between being dialed and just kind of winging it. Honestly, I kind of missed dirty bulk just a little bit because being 220 pounds was amazing. So I might take a pause from doing exact bulking to do a little dirty bulkage here in a little bit. Hey, come here. My son's right over there. Come on, ding dong. So anyways, that's all I had for you today. So I hope that was helpful for you. And I don't know if I guess I'll see you in the next video. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.